We have a few things to look for and to bring with us this weekend to Mass for Epiphany. So I thought we would talk about all the things related to this octave tonight. But first, I'm Jenny Shaw from Barefoot Abbey, and I'm so glad that you are here joining us tonight for Liturgical Living Live. Epiphany, if you're not familiar with it, is a solemnity that commemorates the visit of the Magi or the wise men to the Christ child. And it is one of the 3 times that Jesus is revealed to be God to those around him during his life. So that's along with the baptism in the River Jordan when the Holy Ghost came down in the shape of a dove and they heard the voice of God the Father saying, "This is my son in whom I am well pleased." And then the 3rd time would be the Transfiguration, which is when Jesus took James, and John up the mountain, and there he started shining like the sun, and they were talking with dead prophets, Elijah and Moses. So that's one of these 3 times, and those are all epiphanies of his divinity. So the Octave of Epiphany is a time historically set aside for the annual blessing of your home. Traditionally, a priest is invited over for a meal, and then the house would be blessed and walked through with Epiphany water, and that would be slung all over the place as a blessing. And then the door would be chalked with the year and the initials of the wise men, so Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar, and they were said to be from the 3 continents of Africa, Asia, and Europe. But the initials C and B also serve as an acronym for a Latin phrase, Christus Missionem Benedicat, and that stands for "May Christ bless the house." Now, if you're unable to have your priest over, or they're too busy, or you're from a really large parish where they can't visit everyone, don't worry. You can perform the blessing with your family, and that's perfectly fine. On Sunday, all you need to do is look for the blessed chalk to put out that is put out by your parish, and just bring a bottle or a mason jar or something to hold the Epiphany water. And if chalk isn't provided, you can just pick up some school chalk from the Dollar Tree, go to the dollar store, and then your family can bless it. And I wouldn't do a large piece. I would just do enough that you need that day, and enough for what you need. And then you don't have to keep up with that sacramental and be like, which drawer did I put that in, and where did it end up, and all that stuff. And then for the asperges where you're slinging the Epiphany water, you can just cut off a branch from your Christmas tree. You don't have to do anything special about that. You just need something to transfer it. Okay, and then a little more about Epiphany water, if you're not familiar with that, is that it's special and that it has an extra long ritual to bless it. The ritual takes about 45 minutes. And it has 2 exorcisms. It also contains that holy blessed salt. So that's part of that. A lot of folks like to keep Epiphany water around to drink on fasting days, just a little bit when they wake up, and in times of sickness as well. So if you can't find Epiphany water, just regular holy water can be used for the blessing, or visit your local FSSP parish because they'll have it. You can do that online. During Epiphany, it's also customary to have salt blessed. So you can use it throughout the year in cooking and things like that. So don't forget to take some with you. Just take your regular iodinized salt in those little canisters. So take that with you on Sunday, and never be afraid to ask your parish priest to have something blessed for you. That's part of their vocation. That's part of their job. They're usually more than happy to do so. Just have the courage to ask them. And then a few other traditions surrounding Epiphany that I wanted to touch on are the traveling wise men. I know some people like to do the journey to Bethlehem, and they have a statue of Mary and Joseph on the donkey, And they have that going around, different rooms of their house, different spots of their home. And, that's great. We have one of those. We do that. But also, starting on Christmas Day, we have the wise men come out of their box and they start traveling around. And it's not too late to do that now. Have them, move around a little bit today and tomorrow. And then they can be found at the creche on Sunday, so the 6th. Another thing I can touch on right quickly is that now in the new calendar, so that would be post 1969, that Epiphany is moved around sometimes. It's either the 6th, so which happens to be this Sunday, or the first Sunday after January 1st, the Solemnity of Mary, Mother of God. So, that means it can be as early as January 2nd, or, through the span through January 6th. So this year we happen to be actually on the date. So that's really great. And then, of course, in the traditional calendar, it's the 6th. So another tradition that our kids really like, because it's kind of related to the St. Nicholas tradition, is putting their shoes outside the front door in preparation for the visit of the wise men. And they leave them out, and they have a little bit of hay that they've gathered and some water, and that's intended for the camels. And then in the morning, they find a little gift for the whole family. So it's usually a book. So that's a great little tradition that we've done for many years, and that they really enjoy. Something about the shoes, something about that they really like. Another one that you might not be familiar with is the Boar's Head Yule Log Festival, and that's an English tradition. It's a pageantry that celebrates the Christ child's conquering of evil and darkness, and that's represented by the boar. And then it reenacts the whole of the nativity story through the arrival of the wise men, and at the end, there's the revealing of the infant king. So it's really great. There's those Renaissance costumes, and there's hymns, and it's sung by, there's choirs and a bell choir, and the congregation sings along, and you listen to the narrative, and it's just really great. And then another one, if your family celebrates feast days with food, I know there's a lot of allergies out there in this day and age, so don't feel bad about that. Diabetes, things like that. If you can do it, that's great. If not, it's not going to ruin your, festival. So the one that's associated with Epiphany is king cake. And it's basically, it's a pastry in the shape of a ring, like a crown. And, they're big in Nola. And it's often eaten on this day with a hidden surprise inside. There's either a coin or, a stand-in for baby Jesus, or a ring, a dried pea, or even like a dried bean, just something hidden inside. And the lucky one who finds it in their piece becomes the king or queen for the day. And your family can decide kind of what the reward for that is, how crazy you want to get or how involved. But you can buy the cakes during this time from, Epiphany through Mardi Gras is when they're real popular and usually seen. Or you can make them from scratch. There's tons of recipes online. Or you can hack them with pre-made dough. You can do really anything with that. You can do puff pastry out of the icebox section of your grocery store. You can do, like crescent rolls, cinnamon rolls, biscuit dough, like monkey bread. You can just, get creative with it, with that pre-made dough. It's all, out there and available, lots of options. I'm sure there's probably a gluten-free option somewhere too. So look for that if your family's interested in the food connection. And really on that same note, anything star or crown related would work for this octave. So we're not big on candy, but you could do like Mars bars, Milky Ways, Smarties, Nerds, even like gold coins again that you may or may not have done on St. Nicholas Day or for Christmas, because gold was one of the gifts of the three kings along with frankincense and myrrh. So you can always tie that in. So now for books. Let's move on to books. We have a few that we like. This first one, We Three Kings, is really great. It just goes through the text of the hymn that everybody knows. And it explains each verse of the hymn explains the meaning of the gift that the king brought. So this is real neat. We like these illustrations, just real nice. So there's that front cover I like there. Just beautiful, beautiful. And then this is a fun one, The Last Straw. And it's from the point of view of a grumpy donkey that is on the journey with the Magi. So that's a real fun one that the kids like. One that is not really about Epiphany per se, but it kind of has a tie. It's a modern one. It's O. Henry's The Gift of the Magi. So that's one that we read. It's a short story. And then one of my favorites, The Story of the Three Kings. And this is a medieval story, an account that has been retold. And it just has beautiful illustrations. These are 15th century woodcuts. So those are those. It's a little longer. It might take you the whole octave to go through because it's got, it's a lot of text on the pages, but it's real neat. We like that one a lot. And then this last one, it's not really set in the time of Epiphany. It's set right after in the, way to Egypt, that flight to Egypt. And it's Madeleine L'Engle, and it's Dance in the Desert. And it's just kind of a fun one that the kids like. Another short story. So it's got, a little bit in there. You could probably read it in a day, and they really enjoy that one. Okay, on to music. So, one more, I forgot. There's a poem by T.S. Eliot, Journey of the Magi, and a recording was just shared of him reading it. So that's really neat. We're going to be listening to that. We usually read it, but I'm going to listen to it since T.S. Eliot's going to be reading it himself. So I'll put that link in the comments so y'all can have that as well. Okay, now for music. Okay, we all know We Three Kings, but I wanted to share with y'all another hymn fit for the day, and it's called Songs of Thankfulness and Praise. So the tune for this one is by Bach, and the 1862 text is from Christopher Wordsworth, and he was the nephew of the famed poet William Wordsworth. So, it's that same time period, that middle 1800s. So this is the first verse, if you're unfamiliar with that. Songs of thankfulness and praise, Jesus, Lord, to thee we raise, manifested by the star to the sages from afar. Manifest in David's stem, in thy birth at Bethlehem, anthems be to thee addressed, God in man made manifest. Okay, so I'll have all the accurate text and with the house blessing too. I'll add that tomorrow in a post, and y'all can have that for this month's hymn for Singing with the Saints. So I don't know how many people are familiar with that one. It's one that I really like. And the second verse talks about the baptism of our Lord. So it's great for this week and celebrating that as well. So that's really all I have for today. As always, these videos, these ideas are simply meant to be options for y'all to pull from. By no means feel like you have to do every single one. Pick one or two. Pick the ones that you think will resonate with your family members, with their ages and stages, and, do the ones that fit your budget, your time restraints, your energy level. So don't feel like this has to be a checklist and I've got to do every single one on there. Do what's going to work with your family, with where you are, because things don't have to be perfect in liturgical living for it to have a positive benefit on our souls. Okay, so I want to thank you again for being here. And until next episode, just keep living out your faith one feast and fast at a time, getting your family to heaven. And I'll see you next time.